Hey, Nick from Playbook here. Welcome to day 19 of our project where we are building a software company in 100 days. And so today, I'm going to jump into a very important discussion around pricing. Pricing is always a big question mark for any sort of a SaaS business, and I guess any company in general. And so just going to talk through and brainstorm a little bit on pricing. And so here are things that I am thinking about related to pricing. So first one is value-based or flat price. And nearly everybody in the SaaS world has value-based pricing of some sort where the company or the users of your product that are getting more value out of it pay more than those that are getting less value. And how you measure that value is a big question, and we will talk about that in a second. Or a flat price mechanism. Flat pricing is easier to understand. So let's talk about the pros of this. Pros of value-based. It's just better aligns with customer value. It has arguably less churn, so more your customers that are getting more value out of your product are going to pay you more, and they are going to make up for the customers that you lose. So really just building a healthier business. So then let's talk about the pros of a flat price. So it's dead simple to understand. It gives less, building on top of that, it gives less choice to the end user. So there's really, not a lot of decision to be made on should I go with this tier, one tier or this tier. It's basically just, trading. Basically, your big benefit to the company is simplicity. So what are cons to value-based pricing? Well, more value equals more price equals price shopping at some point. Even if you love a tool, as the price rises, you're going to look around. So then you have to start thinking about competing with the flat price. Value-based pricing, can also lead to things such as trying to game the system. So password sharing. It can lead to companies trying to disincentivizing them from using your product more. So it's a headwind. So you're running into a headwind for value. Man, my typing's really bad today. A headwind for value. And yeah, so that's, the pros of value-based pricing. Better align, the price aligns with the customer value, less churn, a healthier business. You can implement, your big customers are going to pay you more, so you can afford to maybe have a little bit lower of a teaser price. And the cons are, it's a headwind to get your customers more value. It's more choice. There's more things to consider and think about. And at the end of the day, a bigger price is going to lead your most valuable customers to doing price shopping. So it leads to maybe some more product comparison and arguably potentially a less stickier product for those big customers, if you're in a competitive market, and I think a lot of us are. So the cons of a flat price: more churn, equals a less healthy business. You're arguably going to have a a higher entry price. So that equals lower conversions. So yeah, flat price, simple to understand, but you have to have a higher price up front. You're going to have more churn. The growth in your customer isn't necessarily going to make up for the customers that you're inevitably going to lose, specifically if you're dealing with small businesses. And so there's some inevitable churn. So flat price is a headwind against lowering your churn. So then let's think about value-based pricing. For Playbook, well, so for any product, you have there's different levers that you can pull when trying to look at value-based pricing. So we can look at users, we can look at features, and then so let's look at Playbook specifically. We're going to have process templates. We're going to have process. Each time a process is put into play, so I am given the name Playbook, I can call this plays. You're going to have, users is obvious, features, and there was a couple more there. Process templates, process activations, users, features. You can have number of. We'll just talk about features. That's where I was going. Features equals stuff like dynamic due dates, conditional logic, API access, single sign-on, etc. So those are really the primary value levers, that we can look at pulling at Harvest Profit. And so I'm going to highlight, these two would be the most common, users and features. And then there's also a mechanism for, some sort of usage-based metric, which is process templates. So I've actually thought about maybe we base the pricing on how many processes are being put into play for our Playbook customers. So how many processes are they activating on a monthly basis? So taking it away, so we'd be eliminating. Sorry about that. We'd be eliminating this user-based price. We'd be eliminating feature-based price. We'd be eliminating the any limitation on the number of templates, and we would just be focusing on what our process, how many processes are being put into place. Per user pricing, once again, it kind of disincentivizes growth in your product, growth in the customer's usage, I should say. And at the end of the day, we're trying to incentivize use. So that gets us to the process activation. How many processes are put into play? How many plays? That once again kind of disincentivizes use. So really, at the end of the day, this is a pretty hard question. And taking this one step further, you see there's obviously a whole lot of levers here. Do you the other thing we get involved with here is, all right, if we have a combination of multiple of these, you have some per user, some tiers. So you have different product tiers and they're a per user price. If you want to say get away from the per user and do a flat price but have it based on some usage, where exactly do you set those hurdles, and what is the specific, what are the specific jumps in pricing, because those jumps can be pretty painful and a pretty big hurdle to cross. The other unknown here is if you do like a linear usage-based pricing where it's like using storage on Amazon S3, or where it's a linear usage in pricing. Well, we don't know what the usage of Playbook will be, so it's hard to pick what is an appropriate usage price. And so at the end of the day, we need to think about what allows us to build a healthy business and what allows our customers to be incentivized to get the most value they can out of the product. Obviously, the more value, we're going to want more of a price if we go with value-based pricing. How can we do that in a way that doesn't create too high of a hurdle and doesn't create too much of a headwind to enabling them to get more value out of the product? I will talk for a second about pricing in this space. Nearly all the competitors, and there's a handful of direct competitors, some that are participating in subsets of what we're doing here, more of a project management. Nearly everybody has some sort of a usage-based, value-based pricing mechanism. Per user is the most common. And then there's some question marks on how you set up your tiers. Do you start with a free tier? Right now, I'm leaning on a freemium model, and I got to be careful. Freemium, it's not a pricing model. It is a customer acquisition model. But then at the end of the day, you have increased customer support from those free customers. Most of the really successful freemium offerings in the market have raised significant amounts of capital and have teams in the hundreds, if not thousands. And that's not necessarily a key goal for us, is to go down that path and take that trajectory. So I do really like the aspects of freemium as a customer acquisition model, and need to really think hard about. I'm almost certain that we will use a freemium acquisition model at this point. The other tiers, or the paid plans, remain highly uncertain and starting to do a little bit of customer development, a little bit of pricing development, and I'll talk about that in a future video. So if you have comments on pricing, would love to hear your thoughts on per user pricing, flat pricing, usage-based, feature-based tiers. Should it be a one tier per user? Really at the end of the day, there is no perfect pricing model, and so there's going to have to be some trade-offs that are going to be made. Simplicity versus something that's a little more complex. And we're just kind of kicking that out, feeling that around for now. It's going to be more of an experiment. So this isn't something we have to, set and leave it running forever. But at the end of the day, we want to do something that enables us to keep building the product, build a healthy business that can serve our customers and help them really build more value in their business by standardizing a lot of the repeatable processes that they have, so they can focus on more revenue generating, profit creating tasks. So that's really our mission at Playbook. So we'd love to hear your comments on pricing. Thank you for participating in day 19 of the Playbook project, where we're starting a software company in 100 days, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.